And we're in downtown Kinston, North Carolina. And I want to tell you that here at Queen Street, we are doing something that we have been doing for years, and that is called a Queen Street Christmas. And if you really, really like a good Christmas concert, come on out. It's going to be the 13th and 14th of this month. That's a Saturday and Sunday night. And if you come, now the concert's going to be at 6, right? Okay, 6 o'clock. But if you're not here by 5 o'clock, you may not get a good seat. So, but we'll have a full orchestra. The choir has been prepping for months, and we are just excited about this coming up. But come on to us. We are 500 North Queen Street in Kinston, North Carolina. You can't miss the church if you drive down down Queen Street, and we just love to have you. But it's a great evening and a great concert. And it's been going on for a while. It is the biggest thing in Eastern North Carolina as far as we're concerned. I mean, it's almost as close to a barbecue festival. It's like that. Anyway, today we're going to continue in the book of Judges, and we're going to start at chapter 12, which is another terrible thing. And we're going to see how Israel is not necessarily that unified, okay? What's happened is they've come into the promised land, and they have divided up into their tribal areas, and their loyalties are primarily tribal, not to Israel. And when we talk about judges in the book of Judges, they portrayed judges as kind of general overall rulers of Israel, but none of them were. And they're mostly tribal. And what you have is, within the tribal network, there were leaders who were more recognized than others. And they were recognized not necessarily because they were good, but mostly because they were effective. And they mostly also ended up being defective. So that's the case in Judges. Now what's happened is that the Ammonites have threatened Gilead, and they called on Jephthah, who was an outcast, to come in and to rally the troops against the Ammonites, which they did. And if you read chapter 11 if you want to know how really screwed up Jephthah was. But anyway, we're going on with this, and so now it's after the battle, and they have beaten the Ammonites, and so when they're going to go to fight, they'll call on other tribes to come on in. Now understand that the reason why other tribes would rally to defend another tribe's area is so that they can get in on the spoils. If they think that the battle's going to go on their side, then they'll jump right in. But if they have questions or doubts or apprehensions, they're not going to show up for the battle. Okay? But the reason is not that they're loyal to Israel. The reason why they will come to another tribe's defense is so that they can share in the looting that's going to take place after the battle is over. Okay? Now, there was a tribe that didn't necessarily get in on the action, and once again, it was Ephraim. You know, Ephraim was not happy when they weren't called for a battle before, and they almost went to war with a tribe that was successful in battle, and they just felt like they'd been cheated because they didn't get called to the party. So it's happened again. The men of Ephraim were called to arms, and they crossed to Zaphon and said to Jephthah, that's the general, or the warlord, "Why did you cross over to fight against the Ammonites and did not call us to go with you? We will burn down your house over you." That's sweet. You see, these tribes get along so well. Jephthah said to them, "My people and I were engaged in conflict with the Ammonites who oppressed us severely, but when I called you, you did not deliver me from their hand." Ah, so we did ask you. We sent you an invitation. No RSVP on that. And now you're saying we never asked you? Now, wait a minute. Somebody's lying, okay? All right. When I saw that you would not deliver me, I took my life in my hand and crossed over against the Ammonites, and the Lord gave them into my hand. Why then have you come up to me this day to fight against me? Then Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and fought with Ephraim, and the men of Gilead defeated Ephraim because they said, you are fugitives from Ephraim, you Gileadites, in the heart of Ephraim and Manasseh. So basically they're saying the Gileadites are illegitimate, and they're not entitled to the land that they occupy. Now they occupy land on the east side of the Jordan. Ephraim's on the west side of the Jordan. So in order to get to Gilead to attack them, they have to cross over the Jordan. Okay? And they're saying demeaning things about them. Then the Gileadites took the fords of the Jordan against the Ephraimites. Whenever one of the fugitives, so what happened is they cross the Jordan, they fight Gilead, Gilead beats them, now there's a rout. Okay, now they're trying to beat feet back to Ephraim. And in order to do that, they have to cross the Jordan again. The problem is that Gilead is controlling the fords across the Jordan. So they've got to get through there, and they're not having an easy time of it. Then the Gileadites took the fords of the Jordan against the Ephraimites. Whenever one of the fugitives of Ephraim said, let me go over, the men of Gilead would say to him, are you an Ephraimite? When he said no, they said to him, then say Shibboleth. And he said Sibboleth, for he could not pronounce it right. Then they seized him and killed him at the fords of the Jordan. 42,000 of the Ephraimites fell at that time. I don't know where you get 42,000 Ephraimites. I just, Okay. Jephthah judged Israel 6 years. Then Jephthah, the Gileadite, died and was buried in the town of Gilead. Which is interesting because he was kicked out of the town of Gilead by his brothers, who thought that because he was the son of a prostitute, he ought not be anywhere near Gilead. And here they go ahead and bury him in the town with honors, full military, bugles flying, flags flying, and folded. So there you go. I thought this was kind of interesting because this is a recurring thing. You hear a lot of stories about World War II, where at night the Japanese would be facing the Marines, and they'd be calling out to people in the foxholes. They'd say, "Hey Joe, I need you." And they thought every American was named Joe. Say, "Hey Joe, I need you." And then the guys would say, who won the World Series or something like that, and they would give them away. Same thing happened in the Battle of the Bulge. The Germans dressed up in American uniforms, and they had people who had lived in America and pretty much had American accents, but there were some things that were harder for Germans to say that didn't sound German, and also there were facts about American sports that most Germans didn't know. So they would ask them questions about who won the World Series, and it's like, then they shot them. So same thing's happening here. Okay. Of course, now if an American started taunting the Japanese, they might ask the American to say something in Japanese, and that probably would not go well. Okay, so anyway, it's just one of those comical things. Okay, so at the end of the chapter, we have this transition. After him, Ibzan of Bethlehem judged Israel. He had 30 sons. He gave his 30 daughters in marriage outside the clan and brought in 30 young women from outside for his sons. He judged Israel 7 years. Then Ibzan died and was buried in Bethlehem. Well, Ibzan was probably a smart guy, kept his kids from inbreeding, and that was a good thing. Okay. After him, Elon the Zebulunite judged Israel, and he judged Israel 10 years. Then Elon the Zebulunite died and was buried at Aijalon in the land of Zebulun. Well, that makes sense. After him, Abdon, son of Hillel, of the Parathonite, judged. Where do you get these Parathonites? I never heard of them. Anyway, judged Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode on 70 donkeys. Well, that's interesting. How you get, okay, 30 grandsons. Okay, he's got his sons, and they all had donkeys. Okay, what do you want for Christmas? A donkey. You bet your, oh well. Anyway, then Abdon, son of Hillel the Parathonite, died and was buried in Parathon, sure enough, in the land of Ephraim, in the hill country of Amalekites. All right, so look at what's going on here. Here is a few generations out, and you've got an Ephraimite who is the senior judge.
But did they really judge Israel? I mean, they seemed like they were so tribal.
They were really tribal.
So they just judged basically the tribe.
Yeah, basically that. And they may have been recognized for their leadership capabilities by other tribes. But if any one of these guys wanted to go to war with somebody, they'd put out an appeal to all the tribes, and not all the tribes would show up. It is not an Israeli government by any means, okay? What you have is a confederation of tribes. And anytime you have a confederation, someone can leave. All right. Now we're getting into Samson. Okay. Samson is a very long story. We're not going to cover all of Samson in this session. We're basically going to go into how Samson came to be who he was, and what's going on, and there are some special effects about the birth of Samson, so we're going to look at that. The Israelites again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord gave them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. Well, now understand, 40 just means, a time of tribulation, a time of testing. That's all 40 means. Don't know. I mean, there are some folks that we've had in charge of the country where, it felt like 40 years and it was only 4. So, there was a certain man, Zorah, of the tribe of the Danites, whose name was Manoah. His wife was barren, having borne no children. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, although you are barren, having borne no children, you shall conceive and bear a son. Okay, this is one of those late birth things in the Bible. There are a number of those. And, this is where, Medicare is going to pick up the tab. So anyway. Now be careful not to drink wine or strong drink or to eat anything unclean, for you shall conceive and bear a son. No razor is to come to his head, for the boy shall be a Nazirite to God from birth. It is he who shall begin to deliver Israel from the hand of the Philistines. Then the woman came and told her husband, a man of God came to me, and his appearance was like that of an angel of God, most awe-inspiring. I did not ask him where he came from, and he did not tell me his name. But he said to me, you shall conceive and bear a son. So then, drink no wine or strong drink, and eat nothing unclean, for the boy shall be a Nazirite to God from birth to the day of his death. She, I know she probably wanted to have a boy. Okay, that was the thing back then, where every woman desired that. But an angel came to her. So now she's got to tell you, does this sound familiar? She's got to tell her husband, an angel told me that I was going to conceive, okay? And he said, yeah, All right. Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, I pray, let the man of God whom you sent to us again, come to us again and teach us what we are to do concerning the boy who will be born. God listened to Manoah. And the angel of God came again to the woman as she sat in the field, but her husband Manoah was not with her. So the woman ran quickly and told her husband, the man who came to me the other day has appeared to me. Manoah got up and followed his wife and came to the man and said, are you the man who spoke to this woman? And he said, I am. Then Manoah said, now when your words come true, what is to be the boy's rule of life? What is he to do? Good question. The angel of the Lord said to Manoah, let the woman give heed to all that I said to her. May she not eat anything that comes from the vine, eat of anything that comes from the vine. She's not to drink wine or strong drink, or eat any unclean thing. She is to observe everything that I commanded her. And he still didn't answer the question. You know, what's so special about this kid? What's he going to do? You know? Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, allow us to detain you and prepare a kid for you. The angel of the Lord said to Manoah, if you detain me, I will not eat your food. But if you want to prepare a burnt offering, then offer it to the Lord. For Manoah did not know that he was the angel of the Lord. He just looked like some guy. Angels can sometimes look like some guy. Okay? Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, what is your name, so that I may honor you when your words come true? But the angel of the Lord said, why do you ask my name? It is too wonderful. Interesting answer, isn't it? What does it mean that he wouldn't give his name? All right.
Is it God?
Well, there is some speculation that this was an early appearance of Jesus or something like that, but it's an angel. Okay, it's a messenger. Before Jesus cast out demons, what did he often ask them? What's your name?
Okay.
What's your name? Okay. In that culture, if you knew someone's name, then you had some power over them. So what Manoah is trying to do is he's trying to maneuver the situation where this guy isn't in charge, but Manoah is in charge. Okay? So, and demons were always reluctant to give their names. Okay? It wasn't, when Jesus asked them their name, it wasn't an ask, it was a demand. You will tell me who you are. And the demon had to tell Jesus who they were. Okay? Manoah's asking, but he doesn't understand the kind of power that he's trying to usurp from this stranger. And so that's why the response is, it is too wonderful for you. This is more than you can deal with. If you think you can be in charge of an angel, then you better think again. Okay? So the angel is not going to be manipulated. So Manoah took the kid with the grain offering and offered it on the rock to the Lord, to him who works to him who works wonders. Then the flame went up toward heaven from the altar. The angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar, while Manoah and his wife looked on, and they fell on their faces to the ground. Well, that was scary. Okay? The angel of the Lord did not appear again to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah realized that it was the angel of the Lord, and Manoah said to his wife, we shall surely die, for we have seen God. But his wife said to him, if the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a grain offering at our hands, or shown us all these things, announced to us such things as these. Okay? The understanding was that you could not look on God and live. Okay? Just the sight of God would be lethal to a mortal. And so Manoah says, oh, we're going to die because we saw God. And he's going by the tradition, and she's going by logic. Why would God kill us if we're going to have this kid?
That's a smart woman.
Smarter than Manoah. Okay, the woman bore a son and named him Samson. The boy grew, and the Lord blessed him. The Spirit of the Lord began to stir in Mahanadan, between Mahanadan. Oh, I don't know. That just reminds me of like Laughing, where they had Roseanne. Rosanna Dad. Saturday Night Live. Yeah. Oh. She was hilarious. Anyway, here we go. Name of Sam. The boy grew, and the Lord blessed him. The Spirit of the Lord began to stir him in Mahanadan between Zorah and Eshtaol, and I don't know where they are. Okay. But if you're going to grow really, really strong, that's the place to do it. Okay. All right. Now, what is a Nazirite vow? What is a Nazirite vow?
Not cut your,
Huh?
the hair.
The hair. You can't cut the hair.
Touch a
Okay.
dead
No
animal.
drink, no
And
wine.
then no wine.
Can't touch a dead animal.
Can't touch dead animals. Yep.
But you can get married.
You can get married. Mm-hmm.
You're dedicated to God, supposedly.
You're dedicated to God. You're dedicated to God. So, your life technically is not supposed to be your own. Okay? And the vow that was made was not made by Samson. It was made by Samson's parents. Okay? Now this is this is the age-old story of I'm going to have a kid, and this is what my kid is going to grow up and be. Because that's what I tried to grow up and be, and I couldn't. So my kid's going to grow up and be that. You know? That kind of thing. But parents make vows on behalf of their kids. And usually somewhere around the teenage, that vow gets tested. Or maybe around 2 years old, that vow gets tested. But anyway, they made a deal with God about Samson, that Samson wasn't in on the deal. And that's going to show up. So you said that they can get married, and sure enough, chapter 14, there you do. There you go. Once Samson went down to Timnah, and at Timnah he saw a Philistine woman. Well, now you're not supposed to hang out with them Philistine gals, okay? Then he came up and told his father and mother, I saw a Philistine woman at Timnah. Now get her for me as my wife. But his father and mother said to him, is there not a woman among your kin or among all our people that you must go and take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? But Samson said to his father, get her for me because she pleases me. And his father and mother did not know that this was from the Lord, for he was seeking a pretext to act against the Philistines at the time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. So this is something like the Chinese spy hooking up with some congressman or something, you know, trying to infiltrate. This isn't love. This is subterfuge. Okay, so this is like a reverse honeypot kind of thing. Okay, so his father doesn't like the idea. It's not kosher. And he doesn't think it's appropriate that he hooks up with some Gentile woman. But I guess he went along with it. Then Samson went down with his father and mother to Timnah. When he came to the vineyards of Timnah, suddenly a young lion roared at him. The Spirit of the Lord rushed on him, and he tore the lion apart barehanded, as one might tear apart a kid. But he did not tell his father or his mother what he had done. Then he went down and talked to the woman, and she pleased Samson. Doesn't specify how. After a while, he returned to marry her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and there was a swarm of bees in the body of the lion, and honey. He scraped it out into his hands and went on, eating as he went. That wasn't kosher.
Well, he's touched a dead animal.
He's touched a dead animal, right? And
He's just going crazy.
well, crazy. Yep, Samson's a bit on that side. Yep. When he came to his father and mother, he gave some to them, and they ate it. But he did not tell them that he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion. So he's contaminated his parents.
So obviously they didn't have a relationship with God.
Well, I think his parents did.
Well, it seems to me if they had some kind of relationship, then they would have fought him getting there to a Philistine, and we would have seen something here about God coming to him and telling him it's okay.
Right. Well, okay.
That's my thought.
No, that's a good. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And that's one of the reasons why it's really hard for us to figure out, because of the circumstances that we find ourselves in, we can't always discern that God has a hand in the weird stuff that we go through from time to time. Okay? Stuff that looks like it's absolutely opposite to what God would want turns out to be part of some great godly scheme. And we don't know when we're being used. Take for instance the story of Job. Look at all the stuff that Job went through, okay? And this is part of God's great plan. It was a lousy plan from Job's standpoint, okay? And when Job asked for, a reason why, God did not give Job a very good answer. It's just, shut up, I'm God. That basically was the answer he got.
So you're saying just because what Ann was saying, we don't know that they didn't have a relationship with God. It's just that things were not turning out like they thought they would.
Yeah, it's like that when you have kids.
What?
It's like that when you have kids.
Right, you're right. I mean, they could have had a great relationship with God, or they thought, and then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, but like you said,
And that's the thing we don't see until the end of the story, as Paul
Right.
Harvey would say, and the rest of the story is.
Right.
Right.
You know, when a man came to her and said that she was gonna have a child, must have some kind of relationship, have that kind of faith in what the guy said. I thought
Yeah.
the guy was an idiot,
Yeah.
and sent him on his way, but she believed him. And then she
Right.
ran and told her husband, so
Right.
there's been some kind of,
Well, they had to have had, because they knew about Abraham and Sarah. They would have understood that these things do happen.
They do happen, okay? What is the ultimate goal here from God's standpoint? Okay? These parents are going through,
You gotta trust.
well, yeah, but they're going through a lot of trial. Everything about their understanding of how life is supposed to be is being tested. Okay, they had a divine intervention in their lives that they still haven't sorted out. Just like Mary and Joseph had divine intervention in their lives, and they just, Mary is still trying to sort it out after Jesus started his ministry. So it can be confusing, bewildering. God doesn't like the fact that the Philistines are dominating his people.
So he's got a redemptive plan, and Samson's part of it.
He's got a redemptive plan in terms of breaking the yoke of the Philistines. Okay, that's God's plan. But you can see that he's using people in ways where he doesn't clarify his plan along the way. And he's using even their human flaws to further his purpose. So Samson has a lot of flaws. Okay, he's not following kosher law. He's not following the Nazirite vow, except that this guy needs a haircut. Okay, they haven't cut his hair, but there are pitfalls. You have pitfalls of ignorance on the part of the parents, and then you have the pitfall of a rebellious character in the form of Samson. Okay, but Samson kind of has a clue, because he's saying, I'm interested in marrying this Philistine woman so that I can infiltrate the Philistine society and gain their trust.
Does it say that?
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to know that.
His father did not know that this was from the Lord, for he was seeking a pretext to act against the Philistines. That's God. Okay.
He had an intuition.
He had an intuition. And a really hot babe from the Philistines. All right. So, you can say that it was God's plan that he put this honey in Samson's life to entice him into God's plan.
Are you talking about the honey or the
I
Philistine?
don't know.
Which honey are you talking
I don't
about?
know which one.
The
Okay.
honey or the other honey?
Yeah. Well, there's all kinds of honey in this story. Okay. So then, anyway, he's contaminated his parents, giving them something that was not kosher.
So
Yeah,
he was the Nazarite, he couldn't touch a dead animal. But when the Jews touched dead animals, they were unclean.
Correct.
And they had to be purified.
Yeah.
Have that period of time.
right.
So is that what the deal is here? Because
Yeah.
they touched
Now,
a
the dead, no,
animal?
understand that the Israelites could touch a dead animal without becoming unclean. But there were certain types of animals that you couldn't touch. Like, for instance, roadkill.
Well, this was roadkill, wasn't it?
Right. The thing was dead, and he came back days later and touched the carcass, and that would make him unclean. Not that he killed the lion,
Right.
but that he went back and he touched the lion and actually consumed something out of the lion. So that would make him unclean. All right? So anyway, his father went down to the woman, and Samson made a feast there, as the men were accustomed to do. When the people saw him, they brought 30 companions to be with him. Samson said to them, "Let me now put a riddle to you. If you can explain to me within 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments." Well, Samson's got some stuff. "But if you cannot explain it to me, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 festal garments." So they said to him, "Ask your riddle." He said to them, "Out of the eater came something to eat, out of the strong came something sweet." Not a lot of hints there. Okay. And we'll get into it and see if we can solve this riddle next week. Okay? But thanks for being part of this. And we're going to see how God's plan seems to come to fruition in spite of us, in our ignorance and our lust. All right. See you next week.